question. And that's a question I ask myself every day. Every day in my studio, every day when I'm not in my studio, why do I keep doing this? I've collected vintage photos that are discarded, that are someone no longer wanted pictures of their uncle or their grandmother or their aunt. And I started noticing them in yard sales and on eBay and different places. And I was really amazed at how many there were. And they're sort of lost and forgotten souls. No one wants them. And when I started to consider what goes on now in the digital age, there's more than enough information about us. There's these boxes of photos that I have that's it. No one knows who they are, or maybe someone, but they didn't care enough to keep it. And I'm telling their stories. I'm reimagining their biographies. Since I graduated from art school, I've lived and worked in and around New York City. Now my home and studio are a short distance from the city in northern New Jersey. The human figure has been the focus of my artwork for over 30 years. Eventually, rendering the figure alone wasn't enough, and I began cutting up my paintings to collage layers to create both an identity and a history for the subject in my work. At about this same time, I began collecting the orphan photos. Also, during this period of collaging and collecting, I discovered encaustic paint. After a few years of working exclusively with this wonderful pigmented wax, I began to understand the possibilities of making translucent layers in which I could embed the photos, drawings, and ephemera. And then it all made sense to me. The paint, collage, and photos became one brush for me to reimagine the biographies for my portraits of strangers. The facial expression, the mouth, the eyes, and the posture of the figure influence the colors I choose and the lines and the marks I make to create the narrative. I take liberties with the photos, exaggerating physical attributes and creating and adding extravagantly fanciful detail to help realize the story. Over the years, my paintings increased in size when I realized that to fully understand the narrative of the portrait, the image had to envelop the viewer. When I work on a series of paintings, I create a fellowship or a community with an imagined geographic location or a cultural bond. For example, there is Francis County, the Hudson Dove Society, and the Pilgrim Lake Library Committee. I will continue to tell the stories of the unknown and forgotten with my collection of orphan photos. The basic human response to identify the other is endlessly intriguing to me.